Hello students, welcome to Engineering Assignments. In this video, we will be discussing about the structure of the operating system. We know that the OS is very large and complex system, so it becomes very much necessary to be engineered carefully so that it will function properly and can also be modified very easily. Hence here, we will be discussing different structure of operating system followed from beginning until now. The operating system structure is being categorized into simple, layered, microkernel and modules, etc. Here, first we will be discussing about the simple structure which was designed very beginning, and also we can say that it is the oldest OS structure. It was designed very long back, so the simple structure of an operating system doesn't had any defined structure and was very simple and small and was a limited system. The interfaces and the levels of functionality are not well separated here. So you can see the diagram here. This is a figure of simple structured operating system. At the bottom you can see the ROM BIOS device drivers, and this BIOS device driver, it can be seen as a base hardware, or we can say that it is a hardware layer. The top of this we have the device driver, then resident system programs and application programs. Here we can see that the device driver has a direct access to the hardware layer or direct access to the basic hardware, and the resident program have the access to the device driver as well as the ROM BIOS device driver or the hardware layer. Now, the application program has the direct access to the resident system program as well as the basic hardware layer. Now, we can say that the application program has the direct access to the basic hardware without going through all these layers. There are some advantages of this symbol structure, that is, it delivers better application performance because of the few interface between the application program and the hardware, and easy for the kernel developer to develop such an operating system. MS-DOS is an example of such operating system, and MS-DOS application program are able to access the basic I/O routines. Here, it looks like a layer, but we cannot say that it is a layered structure. Therefore, we can say that the interfaces and the levels of functionalities are not well separated here. Moreover, as all these layers can access the base hardware, such freedom leaves MS-DOS most vulnerable to errors or malicious programs, which will cause the entire system to crash if any one of the user program fails. Thus, we can say that these type of operating system causes the entire system to crash if one of the user program fails. So, the disadvantages of symbol structure is that the structure is very complicated, as there is no clear boundary exists between the modules, and it does not enforce data hiding in the operating system. So we can say that it is not well protected, is not structured and not well defined, and this is not a good structure. Also, it is not efficient. Now, another symbol structure is there which is called as monolithic structure, and it was followed by the early Unix operating system. The monolithic structure is actually a limited structure. Here on the top we have the user. Below that we have shells and commands, compiler and interpreters, system libraries. Next to that we have system code interface to the kernel. Now this part is called as the kernel. And next is kernel interface to the hardware, and finally this is the hardware. You can see that the signal, terminal handling, character I/O systems, terminal drivers, file system, swapping block input-output systems, disk and tape drivers, CPU scheduling, page replacement, demand paging, virtual memory, everything is packed into a level over here. And this level is called as kernel, and this structure is monolithic structure. Now, the problem comes here is that there are too many functions, they are packed into this level, which makes it very complicated to implement and maintain. Suppose you want to add some functionality, then the entire system should be modified. For example, if there exists a problem in CPU scheduling, then you will have to touch this entire kernel to make the changes. So it becomes very hard to implement and maintain. Now, we have discussed about two symbol structures and we saw that both of them were having some disadvantages. So in order to solve that disadvantages, another structure was introduced which was called as layered structure. In the layered structure, the OS is broken into number of layers or levels. The bottommost layer is a zeroth layer, it is the hardware. The next, it has the layer 1, layer 2 and so on. The topmost layer, the layer N, is a user interface. And these layers are so designed that each layer uses the function of the lower layer only. In contrast to monolithic structure, where everything was packed into a single level, here the functionalities are broken down and separated into different layers. So every layer will have its own functionality and it becomes easier to implement and debug. So we can say that this simplifies the debugging process, as if the lower layer are debugged and the other layers occurs during debugging, then the error must be on that layer only, as the lowest layer has already been debugged. For example, if CPU scheduling has a problem, in order to debug that, it just have to look to that layer instead of debugging each layer. But we cannot say that this layer is the best layer. There exists some disadvantage of this layer. And disadvantage of this layer is that each layer, the data need to be modified and passed on, which adds overhead to the system. Moreover, careful planning of the layer is necessary, as the layer can be used only the lower layers, and this is the structure of Unix operating system. Now let us discuss some advantages of the layered structure. The layered approach introduced the modularization of the system. Each layer in it has a specific function. Each layer has its own data structures and operations. The higher level has the higher functionality. So the layering makes it easier to enhance the operating system, as implementation of a layer can be changed easily without affecting the other layers. It is very easy to perform debugging and system verification. But this structure has certain disadvantages. That is, in this structure, the application's performance is degraded as compared to simple structure. And as we discussed before, it requires careful planning for designing the layers, as the higher layers use the functionalities of only the lower layers. Therefore, we can say that it is less efficient, because when the user gives a request, it passes through each and every layer. So the time consumed is very high in this case. And that was about the layer structure. Now we move into microkernel structure. This structure designs the operating system by removing all non-essential components from the kernel and implementing them as a system and user programs. So we can say that the structure of the operating system is changed by removing all non-essential components from the kernel. So what happens is that if you remove non-essential components from the kernel becomes very small. So the name has come as microkernel. The removed components are then implemented using user program, and the kernel gives the communication support here. The advantage of this structure is that all new services will be added to the user space and it does not require any kernel modification. Thus, it is more secure, reliable, and if the service fails, then the rest of the operating system remains untouched. This is the typical architecture of the microkernels. Here we have the hardware. Above that, we have a kernel mode. The kernel mode will be responsible for inter-process communication, memory management, CPU scheduling. And it also supports the communication between the client program and the services using message passing. And top of the microkernel will be the user mode, where application program, file system, device drivers, virtual memory, etc. are implemented. The Mac OS is an example of this type of operating system. The microkernel architecture being very small and it is isolated, Therefore, it functions better and it enables easy extension of the OS without the modification of the kernel. But providing services in the microkernel systems are expensive compared to the normal monolithic system. Now let us discuss some advantages and disadvantages of this structure. The main advantage is that it makes the operating system portable to various platforms. Next is that as microkernels are small, so these can be tested effectively. Now there are some disadvantages of this system, that is increased level of inter-module communication will degrade the system performance. So this was about the microkernel. Now let us come to the last one, that is module. Module means that it follows up a modular approach in structuring of the operating system, and this is perhaps the best and the current methodology for operating system design. It involves designing a modular kernel. Also, it uses the object-oriented programming technique to create a modular structure. The operation of this architecture can be explained using the Solaris operating system. The Solaris operating system is actually a Unix operating system. And here you can see the core Solaris kernel, and this area will have only the core functionality of the kernel. And the other functionalities like device and bus drivers, scheduling classes, file systems, loadable system calls, executable formats, streams modules, miscellaneous modules are added as dynamically loadable modules to the kernel either during the runtime or boot time. Now when you look here, you can feel that it looks like a layered structure. That is, it resembles the layered structure due to the fact that each kernel has defined and protective interfaces, which is protected from the things that it doesn't want them to access. It is also flexible than the layered structure where a module want to communicate with another module has to go through all the layers above it. For example, say that the layer 1 want to communicate or use the service of the layer 4, then it has to go through the layer 2, 3, then reach the 4. But in the modular approach, it doesn't have to go through all these layers. It can directly communicate with the other modules through the core kernel. For example, the file system wants to communicate with the device driver, it can directly communicate like this. So that is the advantage of modular approach, even though it looks like a layered approach. Now we can see that it also looks like a microkernel, which only have the core kernel functionality, and the other functionality were provided by the system programs above the microkernel layer. So here we have the same core kernel with only core functionality, and the other functionalities are loaded to it whenever it is necessary. But the advantage over the microkernel is that in the microkernel, message passing is needed in order to communicate between the modules. But in this one, they are loaded dynamically directly into the core kernel as and when needed. So, no need of message passing here. Hence, the system overhead is not here. That becomes another advantage of the modular structure. So the advantage of the modular structure is that it is more flexible. Next thing is that the communication is done without the message passing. So there is no overhead here. Now there are some disadvantages of the modular structure. The modular structure is not clean as the design of layered approach, and it is not as small a kernel as the microkernel. But it achieves best of both of them. So this approach is used for most of the operating system which is being used now. So students, in this lecture we have dealt with different structures of the operating system. I hope it is clear for you. Thank you students. Thank you for watching my video.